Oh, baby, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a Montreal Canadiens fan and you're joining us on this video/podcast segment, you're having yourself a great week. Tomorrow, Sunday, maybe today when you're watching this, maybe after, and you'll let us know how it went. But the Montreal Canadiens against the Jets. We're talking a 2-0 lead, and they are coming back to Montreal, baby, with that 2-0 lead. Tonight, the No Respect podcast missing Alex, but join alongside me, Mackie, is Justin to talk about this great series lead. You steal 2 from the Winnipeg Jets at home in their barn. Now, there's been a lot of things that we haven't touched on. We're coming in a little bit late from Game 2 here because we like to enjoy our night on Friday. But Justin, first of all, how are you? And what do you think about this Montreal Canadiens team?
I'm good. And the Habs on a 5-game winning streak. I think it's the first time since 2017.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been a while, and that's including regular season and playoffs. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be a Habs fan, but we'll see what happens in Montreal because the Winnipeg Jets won't quit. And see.
That's a fact. And we're coming in from Game 2 here, and we're going to get into the Scheifele suspension that we were quite vocal last time about, saying that we thought it was an egregious hit. We'll get into his apology/statement. I don't know if it was an apology, but at least he was accountable, which I appreciate. But yeah, Montreal Canadiens right now, it might not be high-octane offense, and I know that a lot of Leafs fans on Twitter are saying that this is boring hockey. Might be because you haven't seen what defense looks like. What? Wow! All right.
Might be because they haven't seen the second round in a while.
That's right. What? Wow! I don't know what that sound is, but we're going to keep going here. We might get a couple of dislikes for that one, but that's all right. This is the business we're in. But yeah, Montreal Canadiens, listen, this is the brand of hockey that against the Jets I was expecting. Not a lot of goals when you have 2 goaltenders that are named Hellebuck and, of course, Carey Price. Now, when Carey Price is in the zone, I like to call him Corey, okay? Because he's that fucking unreal. Right now, Carey Price and this group are as confident as we have seen them since the beginning of the season. And I'd say even more when the stakes are high. You've got everybody. Eric Stahl out of nowhere is leading the team almost in points? Is he leading? Yeah, that's it. Yoel Armia and Corey Perry on that line. They just cycling like the gentle cycle on your Samsung dryer. It's just a great time to be a Montreal Canadiens fan. Like Nick Suzuki, we spoke about his goal in Game 1. Now it was a 1-0 game against the Jets. And, you know, it may not seem like it was, you know, that entertaining in the sense of that. But for me, as a hockey fan, as somebody who's played hockey, Justin, I don't know what your thoughts are on the quality of hockey. But for me, seeing this defensive system play out and just a team that's just like I thought that as soon as the Habs scored the first goal, which was a Tyler Toffoli shorthanded snipe, drag snipe,
disgusting,
shorthanded, just nasty. But when they did that, I had no doubt in my mind, at least in that game, that the Montreal Canadiens were going to win it. For some reason, it might be because of Carey Price, but it was also because of the confidence and the way that this team is executing their team defense right now. It's pretty crazy. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're playing very confidently, and I think that comes from Carey Price in a way. Like if he's playing confidently and he's playing well, then the rest of the team is going to have that kind of confidence in taking chances offensively and also defensively. I mean, they have to be sound, obviously, but they know that Carey Price is there in the back to back them up. And he had to in the game. He made some good saves. There weren't huge chances either way in this game, but I mean, Hellebuck had to be solid. He made some pretty good saves. He was just like how he is as a Vezina caliber goalie. So, I mean, that's something that kind of scared me because the only goal in the game was a shorthanded goal and on a beautiful snipe, like you said, by Tyler Toffoli. So, I mean, we're seeing like the real Hellebuck because I think in the first game, it wasn't so much of him. Like I guess he was a bit rusty or we just caught him off guard with some of our chances there. But yeah, this is more of what I think we're going to expect to see. And for the people saying that it's boring hockey, I mean, if you're a Habs fan, I'm always excited when I'm watching the Habs. I don't care what kind of hockey they're playing. But yeah, it was more of like a goalie battle and a defensive battle for me. It was Hellebuyck had to make saves, like I said, and that's what it was. It wasn't so much of just a boring kind of trap game. There was still chances either way, I found.
Yeah. No, and I'd be the first one to admit if it was a boring game, and we would still be happy and we would still tease any other fans that are complaining about this, because we are in the second round. And now I want to get into the Jets here, because the reality of the situation is that this is a great pushback from a team that is not necessarily healthy and full rostered. Now you add the suspension of Mark Scheifele, which was 4 games, which was surprising for us all. We'll maybe touch on that a bit later, because as the Montreal Canadiens said, they moved on to different things here, and focus was on game 2. And like, I was pretty impressed by the pushback that the Jets had. I think everybody was saying though, because of these whether it be DeMello, right? That's his name on defense. Yeah, Dylan DeMello. There's Paul Stastny that's out. Yeah. And then after that, you add Mark Scheifele. That's a lot of people that are out. Some key people. I mean, DeMello is not necessarily the guy that.
I mean, he plays with Josh Morrissey though, so he's like
but Ben,
token kind of top pairing defenseman. Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, Jordy Ben came in and played Jordy Ben played a pretty decent game. Like, I didn't feel like they were necessary. I mean, I haven't watched enough Jets hockey for it to be a valid thing that I'm saying here. Had they missed a guy like Josh Morrissey for me, or Neil Pionk, I feel like that's a bit more significant, and I feel like a Ben,
Jordy
what's his name? Jordy Ben, yes, is a good replacement for the type of defenseman and service that DeMello is trying to do. So I could be wrong in that, and Jets fans, please let me know, and you could roast me, no problem. But what I was going to say, and it's been said before, is that although that there were chances, there was a push, I don't think that the Jets and the Jets fans were very happy with the type of chances that they got. They had some, but I think that they would have wanted more high danger, something to make Carey Price have to be a bit more spectacular. Now, right now, he's in the zone to be that spectacular, but I don't feel like they got that job done in terms of really making his life difficult. Now, how do they address that? I guarantee you that they're going to come in game 3, even though the Bell Center is going to have some fans once again. They're going to come in with a push. This is a group that's got like a guy like Blake Wheeler. They've got a guy like Kyle Connor. They still have the pieces. They've been here before in the playoffs. They know how to play. And I expect them to come back with another push. I'm not going to make the same mistake as a certain team that counts out the team that's down right now, because that's just not the way things are. It's looking good for the Habs, but you never do that, because that's the type of mindset that can make you lose from a 3-1 lead.
When did that happen?
Say. I don't know.
It's weird.
I don't know. When was the last time? I don't know. Anyway.
No, but yeah, like you're saying, I mean, something the Habs are doing so well is keeping the chances to the outside. Like, we're not seeing a lot of these players like the Kyle Connors, like the Nick Ehlers, what's his name, Wheeler, getting into the slot and being dangerous. So it's kudos to the Habs defense and the kind of system that we're running right now, because we're not seeing those big chances against us. So it's great for us, and maybe for the for the neutral viewers, it's not as fun of a watch. But if you're a fan of good defensive hockey, it's always a fun time.
No one's going to complain when your team is winning in the playoffs. Simple as that. You don't care. It just wins that matter. That's all that counts. It's the result, So I'll take a 1-0 win over here that the Habs gave, so long as they don't lose, and we'll take it until we move on to the next round. So I know that coming into Game 3 again, expecting that pushback from the Jets. I do want to touch on the suspension of Mark Scheifele here. The way I'm going to say this, because I was very, very vocal last time. And for certain people, that might have been a turnoff, so I apologize. I was coming right off the emotions of the game, may have said some things that I may have regretted. So I will admit to that. And just like Mark Scheifele did admit and took accountability for the suspension. He had the choice of appealing the 4-game suspension. I think we're both surprised that the Department of Player Safety went that heavy on Mark Scheifele, who, again, I really like this player. And the statement alone, I know this taints a little bit of his reputation. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because after listening to him, although I don't agree with his explanation, if you guys didn't see the Mark Scheifele kind of presser here, what he basically said is that he stuck to the point saying that his only intention is to negate a goal. It's a 1-goal game there, and his job is to stop Jake Evans at the post, go the other way, and try to score goals. That's what he said, paraphrased. Now, for me, and I think even the Department of Player Safety, I don't know if I still buy that because maybe that's him saying that after the fact, but I feel like in the moment, Mark Scheifele did something that was completely unnecessary and something that was dangerous for, again, no reason. So, although I don't agree with that, Mark Scheifele took accountability. He said, I'm going to accept the suspension, is not going to appeal, and he thought about Jake Evans the whole way, just like we still are. The good news is that Jake Evans is doing well. He has suffered a concussion once again, and that's his 3rd one, which is not good. But the accountability is what I respect from Mark Scheifele, and for that reason, I'm ready to move on. And unless something else egregious happens with Mark Scheifele, I move on. I don't know about you, Justin, in this whole thing. I'm sure you listened to the presser. What are your thoughts on the suspension and Mark Scheifele's comments on the incident in question?
I mean, I think the suspension time, like the 4 games, is a pretty good amount. Like I think it's spot on for what it was. I think some people were saying like he should be out for the series. Some people are saying it should be 1 or 2 games. So it's kind of in the middle there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think Mark Scheifele is like a dirty player by any means. I think he's like he said in the press conference, he has a lot of respect for the game, and he's a student of the game, as he likes to say. And yeah, I think he just kind of made a bad last second decision. Like the game moves so fast, and he was in the position to kind of hit the guy, and he made the wrong move. Like he could have probably stopped the goal if he had put his stick out, but I mean, he decided to check him, and like I said, the game moves fast, and like a split-second decision can be a 4-game suspension. So I'm like you said, I'm ready to move on from this. Like I'm not gonna have bad blood over Mark Scheifele. I think he's like the rest of his career, like he said, he had 500. He has, I think, almost 600 games, and he has no suspensions. He has like he doesn't have any charging penalties in his career. So
he throws 12 hits, like 20 hits a year. He was exactly. saying so. Like you know when you listen to the presser, like it does put things into perspective of what this type of player has been in the past. Now we're at an emotional state. So are the players in the playoffs. You know, the one thing that I do want to say, and there's absolutely no excuse for this, and I know that people that are listening to this podcast are probably not like this, but there's been threats to his family, which, you know, like completely fucking ridiculous. Like you got to fucking be, you got to figure your shit out if you're doing this stuff. Like his family has absolutely nothing to do with this. It's hockey. Now, of course, this was a very dangerous play, but to go after somebody's family over this incident in hockey makes zero sense. I hate that happened to him, and he was in tears, holding back tears at least during the presser when this was happening. So completely ridiculous. And the people that, everybody's entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to voice them. What my opinion on this with the whole thing about him, there's this theory that he was on like drugs or whatever it is. You can't be just throwing out these things without any proof. Like this is in a day and age, and they spoke about this in the presser. Obviously we have a podcast. We're probably going to say some shit that we're going to regret, and I'll own up to it when I do. And I'm pretty sure I've done it in the past. So that won't be something that won't not happen. That's the fact. But I feel there's no accountability for people that are saying things like this. And that's just the world of social media. You can say whatever you want, and nobody really cares. But it can be ruining somebody's reputation. You can't be going out and saying things that just aren't true without any facts. If they turn out to be factual, that's a different story. But you can't just make shit up to speculate. Yeah. I don't know what you think. I mean, thought it was ridiculous.
I was pretty surprised. Like, I mean, I'd expected from some some low tier kind of like Twitter accounts of fans, but I was seeing some like prominent media members that were saying some kind of sketchy things about Mark Scheifele. So I you don't like to see it, but emotions get high in these situations. Like, you see your player go down, it's tough. But obviously, like, you shouldn't bully, first of all, the player and their family. Like, that's like you have to be crazy to do that, you know?
Well, I mean, look at what Mitch Marner is probably going through right now, and again, this stays a game. You know, like we can have like our bouts here with any fans that are not Montreal Canadiens fans. At the end of the day, like, this is just hockey, to be honest, and this is just for fun. Like, when we do these little kind of hits here, but there's a reality is that people just take it way too far, which is really sad.
Mitch Marner's another story, though.
What do you mean?
Because we don't have to get into it, but I mean, he was kind of greedy with his contract, so I think that's why a lot of Leafs fans are a bit salty about it.
No. Okay, salty is one thing. Like, to get criticism, that's fine, but if he's getting threats or anything like that, that's completely
well, I mean, obviously, like anyone, any player doesn't deserve that.
Yeah. Well, that's mainly what I'm talking about. You're going to get chirped if you're not doing well. That's just the facts, and you know, that's something I think that they can deal with. But when it's talking about family, when you're talking about like threats, anything like that, it's just, that shit's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. One last thing that I actually want to talk about when it comes to this shit is that, again, the fact that the Department of Player Safety actually did something, and we have a crowd of people, cough, cough, Sean Avery, cough, cough, spitting chiclets, that fucking Mike say Commodore. That it's, you know, just got to keep your head up in this. Like, come on, man. Like, it's, I don't know. Listen, again, I said it since the beginning. Like, I'm wearing this Montreal Canadiens jersey. I'm definitely biased in this. But that for me is just a take showing the other bias that you have, which is just to say, like, you're allowed to do this for whatever reason that you're thinking without any kind of logical analysis as to why this is fucked up. The guy was knocked out cold. I don't know your thoughts on this.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. In fact, I totally agree with you, but I'm going to give these guys a small benefit of the doubt, just because in their time of playing the game, I think this hit would not have been a suspension. I don't think it would have been a big deal, especially the older players. Like, if you're talking about like the mid 90s and stuff like that, like this is like a textbook hit in those days. Like, you go for the headshots. That's what it was back then. So, I mean, that's where I can see why they think that. But obviously the game's changed, and today it's just not like that. That's not how the game should be. And concussions are a huge problem in athletes in this sport and other sports. So it has to go in a better place.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. And, you know, you're right. Everybody's, again, even though I don't agree with it, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And this is the point of discussion. So if you guys have any takes in the comments, go ahead, tweet us, whatever you want. We're always open. But moving into Game 3, what are your keys? I mean, we've talked about, you know, a multitude of things that the Habs have been doing well. Is there anything, knowing that the Jets are going to have another push, they're going to try to silence that crowd at the Bell Center? And mad respect to that guy that said, like, yo, I'm going to tell you, I can't remember the exact quote, I'm just going to say it, but yo, I'm telling you, 2,500 is going to sound like 25,000 tonight, man. That's the crowd that they're going into, and that's just mad respect. But what are you expecting from the Jets, and what do you want the Habs to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously expecting a pushback from the Jets. They're down 2-0. And yeah, from the Habs, I just expect, well, I want them to have a fast start like they've had in the last 5 games. 5 games in a row with scoring the first goal. 5 games in a row not going in the lead in every one of those games. They haven't lost a lead in 5 games. So I'm expecting more of that. I want them to have a great start and play sound defensively. Carey Price has to be there. And yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know what the injury situation is with the Jets, but if they're in the same situation as last game, if we keep to our game, I think we can win this game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, even if we don't score, the team defense that we're executing right now, well, I mean, we need to score. That's a fact. I would like to see a little bit more offense from the Habs and making Hellebuck's life and it not be, like you said, just a Tyler Toffoli kind of single shorthanded goal, which was absolutely filthy, like we said. But that's the one thing that I would like to address in Game 3. Make it difficult, drive the pace, use the energy that you're going to get at the Bell Center.
Oh, yeah.
This is the hockey's cathedral. I'm sure the Habs will do that, but there's going to be a jolt of energy from both teams here because you got a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois that's still, a talented hockey player that's going to get the opportunity, and he's coming back to his home province, and this is going to be, I think, a stage that he's going to appreciate. He might be swearing in the tunnel right before. We'll see, which is going to be great. But yeah, I'm expecting another bout here. I don't want to put any predictions here, but if the Montreal Canadiens continue playing this way, they could close out this series relatively soon. But the Jets, that's if the Jets stay the course in the way that they're playing, which I'm not expecting. So everybody's got to raise their game. The last comment that I want to bring up is Ducharme, and this is such a difference between what we saw in this team during the regular season and even leading up to Game 5 against Toronto. And I thought it was great is that he said that they're learning how to win together. And this is what you're seeing from the Montreal Canadiens. It's all in the small details, but I think like I see a group right now that's just playing well as a team. I haven't seen that from the Montreal Canadiens in a long time. Obviously, it's just the best fucking moment for this to happen in the playoffs. Yeah. In round 2, even better, because that means we passed round 1, right? So I don't know what you think about this group, man. Like it's such a difference, and I don't know if it's just because Phil Deneau talked about the fact that their backs were against the walls on that when they were down 3-1 in that series, but. Mm-hmm. I've got to think that that's the moment, really? That's just all it took is being to your last kind of rock bottom moment?
Well, I mean, I think the fact that they won that Game 5, I think it showed they just knew that, like, oh, we can do this. And I think that's a big part of our team. Like, the problems this year was maybe a lack of kind of resilience and belief in ourselves and the cohesion of our team. I mean, it's hard to pin down what the problems were this year because it seems like on paper we had a good team and we could put the offense together when we wanted to. And now we're getting good goaltending. So it's hard to pin it down, but I think it's just we're doing the little things right. We're getting the sticks in the right areas. Yeah. We're playing well defensively. We're cohesive as a unit. And yeah, I mean, and obviously, I mean, I think the major reason that I haven't said is just Carey Price is being Carey Price. Yeah. Like we've heard so many times in the past where when Carey Price is on his game, he just makes the whole team that much more confident and that much more, that much better at their game because they can rely on him.
This is the risk that comes with I think having your star player being your goaltender. Obviously, I don't think it's like the ideal thing, but for me, when you have a goaltender that can change the game like Carey Price, if he's not to the same level, it's not like a forward not being at the same level. We spoke about this countless times, and a lot of people have said that it's our flaw. And I won't disagree that it's a definite weakness for this group if they can't have a goaltender that's going to be the Carey Price that we all know that he can be. And that might be the difference between what we're seeing right now and maybe next year we're not in this position because he doesn't replicate this for whatever reason. But that's what you're living with if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, is that having this superstar, and I totally agree, I think there's a mix of all of the keys is why this Habs team has come together, starting with Carey Price. But you got guys that have, we talk about unsung heroes. You got Yoel Armia that started us off in that Game 5, and that whole line of Eric Stahl, the guy that everybody was questioning, why is he starting in this series, and is just showing up. and everybody's just, it's like Phil Danault, Brendan Gallagher, you got Cole Caulfield that comes in, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Everybody was saying like this guy's bust material now because of what was going on. And, I know that Game 5 was a big moment, but what I will say is that I think Game 6, when the Habs entered the Bell Center and had fans for the first time and were able to really feel the energy, the belief from the fans in real life, for me, that secured it. That secured them being like, Jesus Christ, we've got an opportunity here. And it's carried through from the Leafs series into this Jets series for now.
I mean, I think I totally agree with that point of Game 6, like the fans coming in. And I felt like at times this year, it felt like you were just watching a hockey team. It didn't feel like you were necessarily watching the Montreal Canadiens, because the ambiance of the Montreal Canadiens, the fans, the kind of energy in the city and the atmosphere wasn't there because there were no fans. And when that comes back, I feel like, I mean, it sounds dumb maybe, but it really, I think, energized the players and kind of gave them that belief and that will to be able to win games. And that's just something that, like, it lives inside the Canadiens' legacy, I guess. But yeah.
Another thing, mention, this is sorry, go
ahead.
Yeah.
You go.
I was just going to say that, like, just to add on to that, is not to mention that there's, like, a lot of different players that were acquired here. Like Josh Anderson, that was the first time he heard the Bell Center as a Habs player. Tyler Toffoli, Joel Edmondson, like all of these guys that we acquired, that was the first time they were like, holy fuck, this is 2,500.
Yeah.
This is 2,500. Yo, I tell you, it's going to sound like 25,000. That's right, brother. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, and another thing that I think was key at the beginning of the season, and even when Claude Julien was winning those games for us in the first 10-15 games, was rolling our four lines equally. And there was a stat that came up, I think it was during the second or third period in the second game, and Mackie and I were watching the game together, and we were kind of surprised to see all four lines were around at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's exactly what you want to see. That's exactly, and the way we're playing, that's exactly what you want to see with a team that doesn't necessarily have a game-changing offensive player. Every night, let's say, you want those lines coming in and playing well defensively and offensively, and always have that kind of threat there. Yeah, so that's great to see. I think that's one of the keys to our team being successful, is rolling four lines like consistently like that.
Yeah, and this is the way the team was built to perform, and it didn't happen in the regular season with the condensed schedule of 56 games. And everybody on this team has stepped up, and like, there's too much to talk about here because now we're really stroking the Montreal Canadiens. So we apologize, Jets fans, if you're listening to this whole video the whole way through. I wouldn't blame you if you've tuned out from now, but yeah, just a lot of great things right now, and things can change. So we don't want to forget that. Game 3 tomorrow, 6 p.m. start, if I'm not mistaken, Eastern.
Yeah.
So that's for tomorrow. I want to give a last kind of anecdote here that we haven't had the chance to talk about, which is a pretty big deal. Okay, and again, starts with my virtual right here, Justin. But Justin again was contacted by Julie Petrie. Julie Petrie, who is Jeff Petrie's wife, which we already had a conversation, if you guys missed it, shared the montage that he made, which is Lay It on the Line, the Montreal Canadiens video. If you haven't seen it, I think we usually put it at the end of the video because it's pretty incredible work. I do it for Justin because I think it's amazing. But Julie Petrie goes out, DMs Justin on the No Respect podcast on Instagram, which we're not very active on, to be honest, and says that the guys have watched it. The team, the Montreal Canadiens team, has watched that video. Not only that, she said, that KK asked Jeff to ask Justin to make another one for round 2 against the Jets, which is in progress right now. I've already seen a sneak peek. It's absolutely lit. to live up to the first one is a lot of pressure for Justin, but he's handling it great, just like the Montreal Canadiens are in these playoffs, because that's just the way it is in Montreal right now. Just a franchise that, influences its Habs fans, and that's the way it is. So I wanted to share that. Again, a huge congrats to Justin, who kills it here. He's super talented when it comes to that.
My life can end now and I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, guys, just a last shout out because we have some friends that started a new podcast. We've got Jeff, Mathieu MMTL, and Pat Nadeau on Twitter that you guys can follow for Non Réclamé au Balotage. We're looking to do a little bit of a collaboration with them at some point. But if you guys like French podcasts, these guys are the real deal. They have a great energy. They just started, so if you can give a follow to them, that'd be greatly appreciated. For the No Respect podcast, if you guys enjoy this type of content, if you see yourself kind of coming back to this, if you would, consider a like or a subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. I don't have any benefits for you necessarily, but we would really greatly appreciate it. That's all I can say. Justin, anything that you want to add before we end this?
I just wanted to have another shout out, a guy that messaged me on Instagram, big fan of the podcast. His name is Mark. And his handle on Instagram is Jesperi Kotkaniemi. And I kind of freaked out when he messaged me at first. I was like, oh fuck, it's Jesperi Kotkaniemi. But it's Mark. But he's a great guy, and thanks for watching, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of shout outs that we can do. All of the people, there's Carl Proschowski, there's Huey, there's so many people that I'm forgetting right now because I should have done like a list here. But Jamin, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But everybody that's been commenting, the support that we've gotten, it's been really humbling and just a lot of fun. Honestly, like we've been around the block for the No Respect podcast for like quite some time. And this year has been the year that we've really kind of tried to stay consistent, unlike the Montreal Canadiens during the regular season. And it's just been a great time to like speak, connect with Habs fans that are as passionate as you guys. And, we'll have a little bit more of like a send off for this, but wanted to remind you guys, if you're listening all the way through here, we really, really, really appreciate it. And we've really like kind of cherished this moment, and it's just motivating to keep pushing out content. So we hope you enjoy. Again, we're excited for Game 3 here, and we'll be back after that, I think tomorrow night with Alex. So for Justin, for myself, Mackie, you're listening to the No Respect podcast, and always reminding you, respect the
Orgasm Nation.
Have a great one. Go Habs, go. And no longer fuck Mark Scheifele. How about that? I come back on it.